Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Monday, August 24th. Let's get into the action. Take a look in the S&Ps, which are down 0.19% this morning, about 0.2%. We've been hanging out there for the last hour or so. We were a little lower, but 0.2% is where we things seem to be stabilized at. But today, today and this week in general, there are a host of catalyst events going on. Today, the big announcement is going to be coming from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. As he's going to be announcing a new round of sanctions against Iran. There's a lot of rhetoric around this. There's a lot of tough talk around this, and how this is going to be a very devastating sanctions against Iran. But realistically, Iran is rather self-sufficient. Now, granted, China imports Iran's oil. 90% of Iran's oil goes to China. Are they really going to put additional sanctions on China? If they do, it'll probably be because they're taking off certain sanctions on China. So it's kind of like a toothless tiger here. But nevertheless, this is going to create some volatility in the markets today. And then Friday, we had the collapse of the U.S.-Canadian trade talks. That creates a broader geopolitical anxiety, that's for sure. But today we this week ahead, we have the PCE coming out on Wednesday. You got that Jackson Hole event going on, and Fed Chairman Kevin Warsh is set to give a speech on at Jackson Hole on Friday. Taking a look at the corporate news, NVIDIA raising prices due to higher memory costs. Alibaba under pressure this morning following its $10.2 billion capital raise, which is expected to be used to fund its AI expansion efforts. Moderna shares mRNA trading a little lower this morning. Listen, the markets really question whether their projected, vaccine sales will really justify these new valuations that the company is at right now. So, yeah, I mean, when you jump 120% in one single day, that causes some, concern. Freeport McMahon, FCX is trading higher. I mean, there's strength in copper prices, and this is, something you got to pay attention to, because when copper starts to move higher, that means you're going to see the market rebound, because manufacturing is rebounding. So, keep an eye on that copper trade. FCX trading near all-time highs, actually. On the earnings front, PDD, Paul David is trading higher after their latest results, where XPEV is trading lower. Tomorrow morning we got results from VIPS, DKS, Dick's Sporting Goods, Bank of Montreal, Bank of Nova Scotia. Key earnings announcement this week: Zoom, Intuit, Williams-Sonoma, Salesforce.com, NVIDIA, Dollar General, Burlington, ADSK, and of course Marvell Technologies. They're all scheduled to be announcing earnings this week, so it's another good week for earnings. Now we're turning our page and we're taking a look at what's going on in the global market, starting with the DAX. The DAX is flat. It's down 2 points, or 0.01%. We're seeing some weakness in autos. We're seeing some weakness in financials. London, the FTSE's higher by 0.03. I mean, very minor. There are some gains in mining shares. Energy, healthcare stocks are trading a little lower. The CAC in Paris, really is the weakest. It's down 0.12% or 10 points. Autos, energy, that's weighing on it. The odds of a September rate hike by the ECB remain in play. That's something we got to keep an eye out for. Looking at Asia last night, Asia was lower. I mean, the Nikkei fell 0.74%, weighed down by weakness in AI and tech stocks, and concerns of a rate hike in Japan. And then you got Hong Kong, which really led the losers. They were down 1.89% overnight, really due to valuation concerns across the tech sector, the weakness in Alibaba. I mean, that's really what caused the Hang Seng to move lower. And in China, the Shanghai Composite fell 0.59%. Broad selling in tech stocks. Markets are kind of looking ahead to that National People's Congress Standing Committee meeting that begins, I think, tomorrow. They're looking for additional policy support measures. I mean, China's economic data has not been, very strong, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get some economic policy support measures from this meeting. Turning to oil, and oil is trading lower. We got WTI down 2% to $85.31 a barrel. You got Brent down 1.5% to $92.94 a barrel. Key catalyst is a 2 p.m. call, 2 p.m. announcement with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, where he's going to be announcing the new details of a new round of economic sanctions against Iran. The sanctions are really just rhetoric. I mean, really, we need to see that Strait of Hormuz reopened without any military, escalations for these oil prices to come down and have a significant downward turn. In terms of earnings reports, we got PDD, Paul David. That stock is trading higher. We're seeing gains this morning, up 4.93%. They beat, on their EPS, but it was done on lower revenue. XPEV, X-Ray Paul Edward Victor, they're down 3.2%. Now, they also delivered a beat on EPS, but their revenue was lower, so a little cautionary tale there. But tomorrow morning, we got Dick's Sporting Goods, DKS, EPS is $3.78. Expected move is 12.33% after they release. In terms of economic reports, at 8:30 a.m., you get the Chicago Fed National Activity Index. At 2 p.m., we get the Treasury Secretary announcement on Iranian sanctions. In terms of stocks, making news this morning, Samsung is posed to reclaim the number one smartphone spot from Apple later this year. Google, Tesla, Nevada's Transportation Authority on Friday approved autonomous vehicle applications for Tesla, Waymo, and Avari. In terms of Dow Jones 30 news, Amazon's rolling out all electronic robo-taxis across San Francisco. That's a big one. Walmart, WMT, quietly launched a new women's fashion brand called Scenario. And NVIDIA, of course, prices for servers with its AI chips will rise by more than 15% to 15% due to higher memory costs. In terms of merger news, FUL, Frank Uncle Larry, that's H.B. Fuller. Their board said to reject that bid for their adhesive unit. Now we're going to move on to our pick of the day. And, I'm going to go with Bank of Nova Scotia. That's ticker BNS, Boy, Nancy, Sam. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. The EPS is $1.53. Expected move is 4.60%. Friday's call volume was light, but, positive. 241 on the call side, 45 on the put side. That's a put-call ratio of 0.19. Open interest is 9,300 to 6,400. Major brokers, not widely followed, but the ones that are following are raising price targets. That's good to see. But realistically, the stock's trading, 85 to 87.31 right now. So, I want to get into, 86.50 or lower. That's really my sweet spot. I do think with the breakdown in the Canadian trade relations that is definitely a possibility. But that's my pick of the day. BNS, Bank of Nova Scotia, an earnings play tomorrow morning under, around 86.50. Okay, now let's move on to hot off the press, see if we see anything hot coming out. Oh, California cancels today's talks with Paramount. Remember, the California Attorney General, just canceled those California talks with Paramount over the proposed merger. Let's see what else we got here. Smaller U.S. banks could be in play. Big majors are said to be looking. Wells Fargo, Citigroup. LabCorp to offer a test for Alzheimer's disease, LH. Let's see what else we got here. EU regulators grant marketing authorization to ACAD, Apple Charlie, Apple David. MDT, Medtronic shares are higher due to early adoption of its Spear 9. NVIDIA is talking about a Perplexity investment of at $30 billion plus valuation. Boeing engineers and technical workers reject contract offer. Tesla and other auto manufacturers begin record vehicle recall in China. Eli Lilly, LLY, launches its oral weight loss drug in the UK. That's all I'm seeing. Let's move on. Okay, let's talk about our pick of the day from Friday. I did go with Google, but I gave a very low entry price, which never hit. I mean, but if you look at the way the stock trade, I mean, it opened up at 340.28, and then it did hit a high of 343.28. It's trading 341.23, so it's positive, but it was just shy of the 1% from the high, but didn't come close to my opening price, so it was kind of a flat trade, positive but flat. All right, traders, that concludes today's NewsWare's Trade Talk podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.